Joining the Observer on the air live couldn't be easier. First, visit bit.ly/obguest. Once you click on that, you'll wind up on this screen. Then, you'll have to choose the webcam that you want to use. You can see there's a list of them here. And once you choose the right webcam, you'll then have to choose the microphone that you want to use. It's all very simple. Then type in your name where it says your name here. And once you have finished typing your name, click the join button. Then you'll be in the queue to be on the air. It's that easy. Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 4th day of June in the year 2024. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesdays, no matter where it is you are in the country. Of course, here in the Northeast, it is a beautiful, beautiful summer-like day, so hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather here in the Northeast. I'll tell you what, I couldn't be happier, and I know my friend Tony Mondero from the Harrison Weather Center is a very happy person too, as well. And as you do each and every Tuesday, you welcome me into your home so that I can bring you this week's news. But before we do that, I have a few housekeeping items to go over first. And the first one involves our dear friend Tony Mondero. Tony, as you know, has run the Harrison Weather Center for the better part of the last 40-some-odd years over on Davis Avenue in Harrison. And not often does he ask for anything in return for the incredible services that he provides. But the truth of the matter is, to run the Harrison Weather Center is not a cheap thing to do. There's all the electricity that's involved. There's all the machinery, the computers, the phones, all these things that Tony needs to have set up in order to properly run the place. So here is what he's doing. Every so often, he will announce that he's doing a fundraising through crowdsourcing, and that's what he's doing right now. He is doing a crowdsourcing fundraiser through GoFundMe. And you can see on the screen, it's on there now, the web address. It's www.gofundme.com/f/help-support-the-Harrison-Weather Center. Okay, you see that there's a dash between all the words there. And you could go on there at any point in time, and you can donate right there using a credit card through GoFundMe. This is a very secure way to donate to the Harrison Weather Center. Now, some people say, oh, well, I don't donate using the computer or things of that nature. I can attest to this for certain that it is Tony who is running this fundraiser. It's not a third party. And you can do that very, very easily without having to worry about being scammed, because he is the one who handles this completely. But there are some people who still won't do it. If that's what you want to do and you're considering donating, just reach out to Tony through social media on his Facebook page, and I'm sure he could accept a check or a cash donation or anything of that nature. But there is this is a very easy way where you can certainly donate the money to him. And this is what he has set up, so that's what we're sharing with you today. So check that out when you get a chance. Now, another big thing that's coming up in a couple of weeks is Project Graduation for the class of 2024 at Kearney High School. And the committee's having a meeting. They've been working all year long, and they have a raffle, and it's a big part of the fundraiser during the whole course of the year, because it is not a cheap thing to put on Project Graduation. What they do is they go to a location that people don't know about. They don't want anybody crashing it, so they don't announce where they're going. The kids will find out once they get there. I think it's usually in the same place. So they still have raffle tickets available for $10 a pop. Now, Melanie Ryan tells me that in the past, the winner took home over $8,000. So you see, they raised $16,000, you take home $8,000. But because of the pandemic over the last couple of years, that whole takeaway, it has been a lot smaller than it was years ago. So since there are still tickets available and they sell tickets until the very end, if you are interested in donating, you can do that by using the Venmo code here or the Cash App code that are both on the screen right here. And if that's not a possibility, you see there are names on the screen as well. Amanda, Rosalind, Susanna, Melanie, and Ann. They can also take donations and get you some tickets as well. Or you could go to the Kearney High Security Desk. Sandy Hyde is there, and she can sell you some tickets. The drawing is June 21st, 2024 at 8 p.m. at the school. That's the night of graduation. I would imagine they draw it before they leave to go, or if whatever it is, and the winner gets a very, very nice prize, and you're supporting a good cause. And remember, Project Graduation was designed because there was, years ago, there was an accident. I don't remember if it happened in Kearney or if it was elsewhere, but on graduation night, kids got into an accident, and it's always a common occurrence, especially when kids drink and do stupid things. So this was a thing that started 20 some odd years ago. Steve Dill, the retired Kearney fire chief, was part of the original committee. And this has always been a very safe and fun way for the kids to experience their graduation from high school, a memorable day where they remember everything that happened that night, and it's all done in a alcohol and a drug-free environment. And so this has always been a critical day in the life of Kearney High School and graduates of Kearney High School. So please, if you can, consider buying some raffle tickets, help them out. And they do a phenomenal job. And this is something that, the Project Graduation is over the next day after graduation, and they start planning like right away for the following year. That just gives you an idea of how much time and effort goes into something like that. So please, if you have a chance and if you are so inclined, donate and buy some raffle tickets. I know I'm going to be doing that as well. Now, today is Election Day in the state of New Jersey, but there is one contested race in the town of Kearney involving Fred Esteves and Renato da Silva. Fred is on the left, Renato is on the right. Fred is a longtime resident of the 3rd Ward, and Renato was appointed to the council, I believe, in late November to fill the term that was vacated by Carol Jean Doyle when she became the mayor. Now, those two will square off against each other in today's election. The polls are open until 8 p.m., and the winner of that race will now face, in November, George Santos, who is running as a Republican for that seat. And whoever wins that seat is the grand prize winner of a one-year term, because there are 3 years. We're 3 years into that term basically right now. We're in the 3rd year. So the seat comes up for re-election next year. So yay, whoever wins tonight, and then going into November, whoever winds up winning will serve for one more year, and then there'll be another election in the 3rd Ward, but there'll be other elections as well, including for mayor, 1st, 2nd, and 4th wards as well. So remember, the polls are open until 8 p.m. tonight. You still have time if you haven't yet voted, or if you're watching this on the podcast. So make sure you go out, especially if you live in the 3rd Ward, because there's a lot at stake here. There really is. And I've known Fred for probably 30 years. Renato I met earlier last year. Two very nice gentlemen, and I have often been asked how to handicap this election, and there is no way I could. This is sometimes I have a greater confidence in a race than I would another, but this one is going to be a toss-up, I think, when it comes to the results, which will be available tonight at around 9 o'clock. I'll explain a little bit about the results that are coming in tonight. And then George Santos, who I've known for a couple of years now, too, owns a bunch of laundromats, and he is one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and he donates every year to the school uniform exchange and to PBA causes and so many other things. He and his brother Danny are well entrenched into the community, so whoever winds up winning the Democratic primary this year is going to have his hands full when it comes to November, and I think we will have a very exciting race then too. So we'll see what happens. The polls are open till 8. The results start coming in at around 9 p.m. Normally I do a live broadcast on election night, but I can't because I have already disassembled my home studio. I think I might have said on the air that I'm moving back to Kearney from my apartment in Harrison on the 15th of June, and since I'm moving, I basically disassembled my studio already to pack things away in boxes and things of that nature, so I can't do a live broadcast tonight. I guess I could, but it wouldn't look right because it's just I have so much stuff all about my apartment anyway. So I will certainly bring you the results as soon as we know what they are at theobserver.com, and you can check our social media pages as well. But we'll bring those to you as soon as we know when they come in. They're pretty much automatic now with these new voting machines, and they're supposed to beam it to Hudson County and the town of Kearney's clerk and things of that nature. So we will, of course, inform you of who the winner is. I just don't think we're going to do a live broadcast tonight, however, in that process. So we'll see what happens there. Before I move on, we welcome in, I see a bunch of people in the chat room that are watching, but John Drimkowski has joined us, and so has our friend Carol Manley. Carol is down in South Jersey right now, probably with Mama June, so we welcome them both in, and to anybody who may be watching as well, we welcome you. Now, on Memorial Day, not actually on Memorial Day, but the day of the Memorial Day parade in Kearney, the town announced the new banner program, Hometown Heroes. Now, this is not a new program in its existence, but for the town of Kearney, this is a new thing. They decided that they wanted to go ahead and do this here because if you have ever driven along Ridge Road from North Arlington into Lyndhurst, you have seen these Hometown Hero banners. Well, Mayor Doyle and some members of the council said, hey, listen, we got to do this. So in conjunction with the Kearney UEZ and Linda DeIsa, the new coordinator of the Kearney Urban Enterprise Zone, this program has been instituted. And if you have a veteran who lived in Kearney or is still living in Kearney, you can honor that person by buying a banner that will fly in the town of Kearney, more than likely starting on Kearney Avenue and then go to other locations as space is available. And I believe the fee is $110. And I know there are a lot of people who are very interested in this. So if this is the first you're hearing about it, if you look at the story that's on the front page this week when you get your newspaper tomorrow, or if you go to theobserver.com and you find it there, you can read all about it, the forms, everything that you need to fill out, and how to make payments and things of that nature. All that information we have available through Linda DeIsa, so make sure you do it. And it's just a great way to honor veterans who have served this country. But again, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be someone who is no longer with us either. It can be a living veteran as well. But I think the only requirement is that they live or had lived at some point in the town of Kearney, so that there's a tieable connection right there. But this is a great program, one that started in this area in North Arlington, and then they moved its way up to Lyndhurst, and now Kearney is finally getting on board. And that was something that our friend Dan Pronti started a bunch of years ago with Councilwoman Donna Bocchino. So I'm very happy to see this has made its way up into Kearney, and it's a phenomenal program that I know Linda DeIsa is taking great pride in. So we'll see what happens there. So if you're interested, reach out to Linda. And then, of course, also on the front page this week, the Belleville Historical Society had a very, very moving remembrance for Memorial Day as well. In fact, it was really amazing to see thousands of flags strewn about the veterans area of the cemetery. And Mike Perrone from the Belleville Historical Society does this. And I tell you what, I don't know how he sleeps or if he ever sleeps, because it just seems like he's always doing something. And this is the Belleville High School ROTC here on the front page. They do a phenomenal job, but the Veterans Affairs, just great stuff. And the driving force behind it, of course, is the Belleville Historical Society. Before we move on, we welcome in Manny Ventoso Jr., who is watching us somewhere. I wonder where you are today. Where in the world is Manny Ventoso? Manny, good to see you, brother. Thank you for popping on today. I know you're working, so I appreciate it very, very much. This is a special advertising supplement on Flag Day, which there's another one on page number 2. And Flag Day, of course, is June 14th. You can believe we're almost there already. In North Arlington, the budget was introduced and adopted over a month early, and it seems like it's going to keep things, at least on the municipal side of the tax bill, stable. Again, I don't know how they do it, but they do it. When things increase, they're still holding the bottom line, and at least from the municipal portion of the tax bill, there's not going to be another rise in taxes, which is just amazing. Very few towns can ever claim to that. That is just a remarkable feat, indeed. In Kearney, I think most of you know by now, there was a hit-and-run accident last week, and this was horrible. A 76-year-old man was, from what I understand, rollerblading along Kearney Avenue in the area of Columbia when he was hit and knocked off his rollerblade, off his feet into the ground. Somebody told me that the guy who was responsible for this hit and run stopped his car, got out of the car, looked at the victim who was lying in the ground, got back in the car, and drove off. I mean, that's just obscene. It is absolutely obscene. There were several broken bones. He was taken to University Hospital where he was in critical condition. There hasn't been an update lately, so I'm not exactly sure how he's faring right now. But what I do know is that supposedly there were cameras in the area. You know, Kosher Realty's over there, the Girl Scout house across the street, the Kearney Board of Health, a few other commercial establishments over there. But from what I understand, they were able to identify the owner of the vehicle as being somebody from Belleville, but they don't know whether that person was driving the car at the time of the hit and run. But I do know that they are thoroughly investigating this. The Hudson County prosecutors I forget what I think it's the Accident Investigation Task Force took over the full investigation in cooperation with the Kearney Police Department. So hopefully they find this guy, leaving a 76-year-old man like that, and just to stop and to look and then to take off from there. It's just mind-boggling, but it makes you wonder why. Why would somebody do something like that? What is this, a suspended license? Did somebody have a warrant out? Did the person just freak out? I don't know what it is, but whoever was the coward who did this, I certainly hope he is found, or she is found, and brought to justice. Kearney Eats kicks off this week on Friday. Don't forget about that, which means that when you are in town, most of these restaurants here that you see have some significant discounts. It's an inducement to get people to stay local and eat local, and there are some great restaurants in this town. You know, Kearney was never a hotbed for fine restaurants over the years. You know, there was Pete's Place, and there were a few other places like Au Imperial and a few others, but now this town has got some great eateries. And we have a list here, and if you go to KearneyEats.com, you can find out all about the different deals that you can get by eating and dining in or getting your meal delivered. So that's the other thing, too. You can get a lot of these things are deliverable as well. So a lot of good deals. I saw a very good one for Brazilian spices, but you check on your own, and you can decide from there. Now, before we wrap things up, I just wanted to mention that we are coming up on the first anniversary of the death of our own Jim Hague. Jim was 62 years old, and he died last June. And I wrote a remembrance about Jimmy. And, you know, it's still hard sometimes to even imagine that Jim is no longer with us. And in the column that I wrote this week, I write of how so many times, and I know some of you, if not all of you, have been through something like this, where you've lost a relative or a dear friend, and though you know they're gone, you do like this. You pick up the phone and you get ready to call or send a text message, and then you kind of realize that that person is gone and no longer with us. And in the last year, I can't count anymore how many times I have picked up the phone and was ready to text Jimmy and say, okay, did you see this? Like the Mets found another way to lose, which is a very common theme. You know, just last week with the Rangers being in the Eastern Conference Finals of the National Hockey League playoffs, that would be a time where I would always reach out to Jim because he was a diehard Ranger fan. He wasn't perfect, as you can tell by that, but you know, it just all these months later, a year later, I still can't kind of grasp the idea that he's gone for. And then you know that feeling if you've lost somebody, that moment where you were going to pick up the phone and you would have called them or you would have sent that text message, and then you're like, wait a minute, can't do that. No longer with us. But for me, that was Jimmy. He's gone, and he is certainly not forgotten, and that's why I wanted to bring that remembrance to him. And you know, I have not really had a chance to see his beloved widow, Mary Costello, Judge Mary Costello, but I do catch up on what she's what she does, because she's a prolific poster on social media. But it's great to see that she's still doing well and she's plugging away, and that couldn't have been easy for her. Those two were inseparable. And I'm sure life has never been the same without Jim, but she seems to be doing well, and I'm so glad she is. I'm so grateful. And of course, as most of you know, the Athlete of the Year award has been renamed in Jim Haig's honor, the Jim Haig Male and Female Athlete of the Year, and we will be presenting that in a couple of weeks to the winner, the boy and the girl, from what I understand is the same high school this year, but that's the most that I can tell you. Don't forget, there are 2 pages of classifieds this week, so if you have a place to rent that you need a place to rent, or if you're looking for a job, you can find all that in this week's classified. Jason Bernstein has 3 sports stories as well this week that you can also check out, so check those pages out as well. And then we'll go from there, and we'll be back in 1 week. But we will again bring you any results that we can get tonight on theobserver.com for today's election in Kearney's 3rd Ward. And, of course, if anything breaks during the daytime, we will join you live from the studio here in Kearney. But that'll do it for now, and we will talk to you all again very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.